Hello everyone and welcome to another bloody round of deathmatch fighting as Timothy Leary's favorite candy, LSD, playing as the Franks in blue, gets ready to take on HazZy, playing as the Vikings in red. Now the players build their infrastructure absolutely crazily, as you can see on the map in front of you, and try to pump out as many units as possible, maybe snipe a villager or two with their starting light calves. Not a bad time for us to very quickly take a look at the attack path, and then if you're not familiar with what deathmatch is, then yours truly will explain it to you. If you're wondering why the hell castles, barracks, houses are already being built, why there's so much infrastructure already out for our Frank, who has begun to pump out the tank that is the Frankish Paladin, well, we are in deathmatch. Every single game starts in post-Imperial, which means you are in the Imperial Age. All of your available technologies have been researched, all of your upgrades have been gotten, and your job is to survive the coming Frankish onslaught, as it looks like our Frank will be the one putting on the aggression. A few swordsmen here, a few champions moving forward. A berserker is popping out. And so, in deathmatch, generally a flurry of activity in the beginning as players plop down infrastructure. HazZy taking a bit of a slower approach here, going only 2 barracks. Very big risk right now. He can easily be overwhelmed by the 11 stables that are being used by our Frank, the LSD, to pump out 91 paladins at a time. LSD missing perhaps an opportunity here to go. Whenever you build castles first in deathmatch, it does take a lot longer to build a castle than it does to build any other normal military structure. So this is a lot of army count. 48 paladins to not so much army count for our Viking. So did LSD miss an opportunity here to swarm and overwhelm our Viking? On the other hand, let's see exactly how this goes as 3 paladins, a trio, chases 1 champion, runs into a whole bunch of reinforcements. Now you might be wondering, how the hell are the players affording to train 130 freaking paladins? That's because in deathmatch you start every single game with 20,000 wood, 20,000 food, 10,000 gold, and 5,000 stone, which does sound like a lot. It is 55,000 total resources, but when you're training paladins, when you're going berserkers, champions, scorpions, it actually doesn't last very long at all. The gold count for our Frank already, he's blown 7,000. Our Viking a little bit more judicious with his cheaper gold units, both of them posturing. Red does not see blue. Blue does see red because remember, Frankish nightline units do come with extra line of sight. Not too sure why he's engaging with only 9 paladins when you've got a whole bunch more here. But now he's luring HazZy into a Mangonel Onager trap. So the name of the game, spend your resources, but spend your resources wisely. At the same time, just like blue, expand your economy, your settlement, to make sure that your villager count remains healthy, because after the initial few minutes in deathmatch where the clashes are massive, the battles are cataclysmic. If you are on the losing side of the battle, then you are going to need an economy to back up to train more units, because again, 10,000 gold seems like a lot, but when your opponent has trained 123 paladins, you're going to have to spend your gold, your money, your food, your wood, your everything to defend against this. By the way, how many paladins over here? 54 paladins over here. 63 with reinforcements, 70 paladins in the wings waiting. For now, it's actually our Viking, who I initially thought was not going to put on the aggression, who is kind of lovingly embracing the Frankish settlement to the north and the south. And we'll see whether the tankiness and just raw power of the Paladin can handle the durability of the Viking infantry. 20% more HP on these pikemen. Berserkers regenerate HP at a ridiculous rate. And he gets lames the castle. Looks like there was a battle here to the south as well, where all the berserkers did die, but they took down looks like maybe 10 plus paladins with them. Ooh, okay. It's funny because neither one of these civilizations has siege onager, so we're gonna see basic onagers. So unfortunately, you're not gonna see a lot of flattening pancakes, or maybe we will, who knows. But onagers, there we go. Okay, well, I said it wasn't going to happen. It happens. A little bit of friendly fire here for LSD. Not the end of the world. Does manage to get a good number of berserkers. They are not expensive, but they're not cheap as well. 25 gold. More importantly, 65 food. And you can tell LSD is already down to 5,000 food. HazZy down to 3,000 food. That being said, if you can keep trading out pikemen for onagers, you're going to be in a good spot here. Army counts identical at 129 for both players. And like I said, we're going to see the absolute beast that is the Frankish Paladin taking on not so much pikemen anymore. We're up to 80 berserkers. And they do regenerate 40 HP per minute, which means they need just under 2 in-game minutes to clean up their act, eat healthy, stop consuming mead, and get their HPs. Fantastic shot there by the red onagers, absolutely destroying a good number of blue. And now the paladins move into snipe to the north. The paladins are moving to snipe into the south. Looks like there's more action to the south of the Frankish base. We'll keep an eye on that. The battlefield is large. Mobility going to our Frank. Army counts are dwindling. Our Viking is in a bit of trouble. He's out of food. But HazZy does have 76 villagers to the 62 of his opponent. Looks like the attack to the south has been stopped by this castle. 8 kills for you. Town center, 0 kills, 0 kills. So relying on castles and paladins. Throwing axemen being added into the mix. Also, not a expensive unit. 25 gold as well. It's funny that the throwing axeman costs just 10 less food than the berserker. We're going up to 70 berserkers. We're down to 55 paladins. Ooh. So far, LSD is proving my point that you should not be so cavalier in deathmatch. I mean, you would think 130 paladins is fantastic. Then you blink, you take an engagement or 2 or 3. Oh, that's a lot of onager shots to the face. Look at their HP, atrocious. And then all of a sudden you're down to 48 paladins, and in come the berserkers. They do have the high ground. Onagers going numbers wise to blue. What an absolute mess here. HazZy at 100 villagers up ahead. 25 villagers to his opponent. More and more berserkers. He's training to 30 at a time. And so far, they are doing an amazing job. These paladins injured from the onager shots. Are these the last paladins? No, there's one last paladin remaining. And he is on patrol duty here to the rear of the base. Lucky guy. Probably has survivor's guilt. Although that would probably be true if he actually joined in on the battle. Careful, LSD. Careful. More berserkers going up to 69 for all you perverts, going up to 59 throwing axemen. So the era of the Frankish paladin is over. The age of the orc, I mean the throwing axeman, begins. Blue missing a few opportunities here to attack. Oh, they're so clumped. Missing a good opportunity there with his onagers to crush a few of those HP, those hit points. Okay, does do well now. Throwing axeman might want to move into a bit of a forward position here. I'm not too sure the meat shield should be the onager, especially not against the berserker. I mean, things are looking not too bad for our Frank. Things are also not looking too bad for our Viking. Population's very similar. Another raiding party. Oh, he's getting the trebs. These units are so durable. 5 melee, 5 pierce armor. Not exactly sergeant level, but holy moly can they tank, especially when they regenerate so much HP. Another treb falls, leaving only 1 for our Frank. Villagers are falling as well. LSD's in double digits, 84. And falling. And again, the onagers going after one another, missing these giant clumps of units. Probably the right move, but still. Wow, look at this battle. Elite berserkers, elite throwing axemen. But army count's starting to suffer here for our Frank. He loses his last treb, so all the heavy death dealers are pretty much dead. And LSD calls it. Says, you know what? Your unit is just so much better than mine. I think the berserker is just so much better than the throwing axeman. And I think LSD knows it. So what a quick game, but holy moly. There you go. There's why we watch Deathmatch. Quick game, 18 minutes and 600 plus kills. But I'm assuming, take a look at this. I should be right. I mean, says every man ever. Throwing axeman does 12 damage. -5 is 7 damage to a unit with 74 HP. So you need 11 axes thrown at a berserker to kill it. In the meantime, it is still regenerating HP, so probably you need like 12 or 13 attacks realistically. Whereas look at the Berserker's attack. Holy moly, 18 minus the 4 armor is 14 damage, divides evenly into 70 at 5. So you need 11, 12, 13 axes to kill this guy. This guy just needs 5 thrusts of his axe to kill you. Literally killing you, what is that? Almost 2 to 3 times, more than twice as fast, approaching 3 times as fast. So I think LSD knew that, and he knows that as much as he's got 44 throwing axemen, these berserkers will charge right in. He's also got no trebs. He's barely got any paladins. His villager counts in double digits. He's done absolutely no damage on the other side of the map. And this is where economy comes in, even though LSD does end the game with 4,000 gold. What the heck are you going to do with just gold? He has enough stone for 1 more castle. He has enough food for a few, maybe, what is that, 23, 24, 25 paladins? But your opponent's on the warpath. He's got onagers, he's got trebs, he's got berserkers. You do have 2 onagers, so maybe a bit of an early GG, but on the whole, a wise GG. Your forward infrastructure is about to get pressed into. Are there any resources here to the rear? No. There's just a bit of stone to the back. All the gold has been mined. Oh, no, pardon me, excuse me, moi. As they would say in Frankland. This is still 2,000 gold. But again, more importantly, do you see the farms? They are fallow. There is 1 farmer, no farmer, 3 farmers, and then a bunch of them here defended pretty safely by a castle. He still has the, has the gold. I don't think gold is really the issue for our Frank. I think it's the food, really. This is food that is going to disappear in the blink of an eye. Throwing axemen, surprisingly, in one of those quirks of Age of Empires, they do actually cost just a little bit less food than this, which is funny, right? This unit costs only 5 less food than this unit that has a horse and is mounted and has to swing his sword. But ultimately, what a short but fun game. 300 berserkers, 142 Frankish paladins. I'm glad both players put their best foot forward. Throwing axemen as well, so we got to see the 3 tanky units for the civs. I'm glad we didn't see a single archer unit, just because melee versus melee, especially infantry versus infantry, is always so much fun to watch. 37 onagers should have absolutely wiped out 23. But again, the onager shots were not the greatest. I'm assuming the economies are not that big, but yeah, look at that, 7,500, 7,400 more resources. Both players managing to collect relics, which is fantastic. Precious resources going to our Frank, but the real meat and vegetables here going to our Viking, especially the food. Look at that, 1,000 more, 10,000 more food than his opponent. 1 conversion out of all that. I did not see that conversion. 3 raisings to 0, but more importantly, HazZy's got the trebs, HazZy's got the onagers, and again, HazZy's got the unit that can kill 3 of these guys, 2 of these guys, while they attack him, which is absolutely ridiculous. That kind of ratio is just, at this point, insurmountable. Now, if he had 44 paladins, probably I would have called it a bit of a weird GG, but they are all dead here in not so Flanders Field. They lie dead, as do a bunch of berserkers. So we wanted, or I wanted, I guess is more accurately, a bloody deathmatch game. And in only 18.5 minutes, I got it. And even though you can argue perhaps the Frank, a bit of an early GG, the reality is there is just no food left for him. He can buy the food if he wanted to. He does have a market up, but you are not paying a low price at this point. You are probably paying a heavy price. And while you're doing that, your opponent is just continuing to steamroll you with siege. And more importantly, this ridiculously durable unit. I mean, 40 HP per minute for a unit that has 74 HP. More than half of its HP regenerated just while he runs around and maneuvers. By the way, HazZy also has the high ground here, which our Frank has given up. And so, unfortunately for our LSD, which is one of the coolest names I've ever seen in Age of Empires, it is HazZy the Viking with the Berserker, who crushes through, how many was it? 142 frickin' paladins, Frankish paladins at that, manages to bust through the siege, takes the center, presses in, and forces perhaps an early GG, but a GG nonetheless. And HazZy is victorious, but truly GG to both players.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips and make sure to subscribe and enable notifications so that you're notified of my latest uploads.